Let's do it.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the Media Goose channel. It is I, the Media Goose, your friend Ryan, and the goose is loose. Hey! And I am not alone today. I am coming at you with another mock draft, today with my good friend Cody. Cody, what is up, man? Tell us how you're doing today and what you like about the NFL draft.
I've heard that intro so many times, and now I got to hear it live for the first time. Like, how cool is this? Like, I'm so giddy. I'm so excited right now. What's going on, everyone? Good friend of Ryan's here, and we've never really talked sports. So, like, this is going to be really, really fun for us to have a conversation in a whole new way. I'm so impressed with your football knowledge. You don't know about mine. It's going to be fun. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, guys, Cody and me, we do theater together. We've acted together. That's how we know each other.
Yep.
So the sports, oftentimes when you're in the theater space, you're in the zone, you're talking creative stuff. Sports isn't always the popular thing to talk about. So today we get to explore a totally different side of things.
And you're a Giants fan, and I'm a Pats fan, so let's just get that out of the way too. So,
right, I knew coming up here to the New England area, I would have to be friendly with Patriots fans.
And here we are, good old pals.
Here we are. So for this draft, y'all, Cody is going to be doing the odds, and I am going to be doing the evens, just so I'm not always picking for my Giants. Here we are. Is it sharing?
I see it.
There we go.
Awesome.
So, Cody, not that the first overall pick is that exciting this year, but give me your rundown. What do you think of Mr., I'm assuming, Fernando Mendoza?
Man, do I throw a curveball to start us off? Do I just throw things at the wall and make... No, we're going to keep it simple, guys. Fernando Mendoza is going to be the pick for the Raiders. They got rid of who'd they just get rid of their quarterback? Was it Gene? No, Pete Carroll's gone. They blew everything up. They need a quarterback. Tom Brady's there. So I think it just makes all the sense in the world to bring in a young guy like Fernando Mendoza, to have a guy like Tom Brady around to learn from. It's just the writing's been on the wall for this pick to been happening for a good while now, pretty much since the college football season's ended. Really, really no debate. It's one of those drafts you don't get them too often where the number one pick's locked, but this is one of those drafts. Mendoza's going to be a Raider by the end of it all.
Yeah, absolutely. It would have taken a huge haul to get the Raiders to move off this pick, and I don't think anybody is willing to give that right now. It's a straightforward pick. The Raiders get their guy. He's a safe quarterback, I feel like. Maybe not the crazy upside of a normal number one pick, but he's got a higher floor than a lot of guys. He's super accurate. I think it's a translatable skill set. So I think he's going to be primed to have some decent early success, I think, too, because they've been loading up on talent over there.
Seems like a really smart guy, too. So safe pick. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
The New York Jets, I personally think this is another pretty easy pick. Arvell Reese coming out of Ohio State. I think that he reminds me a lot of a guy the Giants took recently in Abdul Carter. He just didn't have as much time at pass rusher. I think he was very effective in the snaps he got, and with his athleticism, I think he's going to translate well to the 3-4 system the Jets are going to want to play. And I think he can be like Abdul Carter, where he can play off the ball linebacker to start his career as he's getting more comfortable with the pass rushing stuff. But I think he's going to be a good player, and I think he's going to translate to the pass rushing side of things as well.
Yeah, I love the pick. I think it makes a lot of sense. We know the Jets aren't winning anytime soon, so I think they have plenty of time in the world to take advantage of a guy like Arvell Reese, try and figure out where to best utilize him, whether it's on the ball, off on the edge. You can put him anywhere, and I think he can definitely dominate. Being a Patriots fan, having him in the division would not be my favorite thing in the world, but we know that the Jets have a bunch of first-round picks, and for the foreseeable future, I think this is a great guy, a great pick to build around, and Aaron Glenn's going to have a lot of fun with them. So I think it's a smart pick.
Excellent. What are you thinking for the Cardinals? I think you'll go safer than I went last time, but
yeah, my eyes went like, what? When I saw that Jeremiah Love was taken. I think that was the highest I had ever seen him go in a mock draft. But hey, I don't hate it. I don't hate it for them. It's not the direction I'm going to go in here for the Cardinals. It's a really, really interesting spot. This team has blown it up. Obviously, Kyler Murray's not there anymore, so there's just a lot of changes happening. New head coach coming in as well. Man, I've thought about a couple. I personally think it's a little too early for a tackle here. I think it'd be really fun to pair a tackle with Paris Johnson. I think 3 is a little rich for that. Definitely a trade down spot I could see here for the Cardinals, but I know we're not doing trades here. So I'm going to keep this really, really simple. And I know this guy has continued to fall in drafts and makes a lot of sense. The arm length does not scare me. The tape, what I see, is enough for me. I'm taking Ruben Bain. I'm taking the edge rusher out of Florida here. Just the talent is just too hard for me to pass up here. It's just dominant, and we saw what he did in those final, games in the college football championship. Just dominant. So I'm going to take advantage of that and roll with Ruben Bain. The arm length doesn't scare me. They'll figure it out.
Absolutely, I'm on the same side of that as you. I don't think arm length is going to be a problem. He is a effort guy. He is a dog on the line, and I think wherever he goes, they're going to be happy they took him. Yep. And now the Tennessee Titans. So a lot of smoke for Jeremiah Love here.
I've seen it.
I'm not going to do it. I think that I'm going to go best player available. And I think that is Sonny Styles. I know they have some talent at linebacker already, so audible.
Oh, I love that. I'm going
pick. David Bailey.
Okay. Also a great pick. Yep.
I think that Bob Saleh, they brought in Tremaine Johnson, but I don't think they have another solidified guy. I think that oftentimes in the NFL, you're not going to have the luxury of only utilizing 2 pass rushers. Injuries happen, rotations happen. Getting David Bailey in there, getting another attacker off the edge for Tennessee as they get into Robert Saleh's system. I think David Bailey will be I think he's a safe pick as well at pass rusher. I think that he's got a lot of bend around the corner. I have faith in him translating his skill set to the next level.
I love it. It's a great pick. I do think for this pick at 4 for Tennessee, it's going to be a defensive pick because of Robert Saleh coming in. I think he's going to want to find his young guy to build with for the years in the future. I think I would have leaned Sonny Styles there personally, just because we know where Saleh's come from in that 49ers with having a guy like Fred Warner, having a Mike, I just think Sonny Styles, that would have been really, really fun to see. But don't disagree with this David Bailey pick at all. I think, Bain, Bailey, Styles, whoever's there for them, I think it makes a lot of sense. Great pick here for Tennessee. Well, now we're at your Giants. My Giants who've taken 2 Super Bowls for me. We won't talk about that. So can I really just I really could just wreak havoc here. But you know what? I'm not going to do that because I prepared for this situation because I felt like the players that are on the board here now were going to be the players that were going to be here for me to choose for the Giants at 5. So a lot of different thought processes here. And I'm thinking about John Harbaugh and where he's coming from and the players that he's drafted over the years, because we have a long history of seeing the kind of guys he's taken from. He was there at Baltimore for a long, long time. And the more I think about it, I'm kind of glad that you didn't take Styles, because I'm taking
Yeah.
Sonny Styles here for the Giants at 5. I just think of Ray Lewis. That's the first person that comes to mind, and how dominant he was for Harbaugh for years. And I think I know you brought in Jackson Dart, and I'm going to bring up this point too. I think part of the reason why Joe Shane has a job right now is because of the Jackson Dart pick last year. So you would think you'd want to continue to help out that offense and build and continue to make that shine. But man, Sonny Styles, that combine was impressive. The tape's impressive. There's not too many really blue chip. I think Sonny Styles is a blue chip player here. I think there's a lot of depth at receiver that you can focus on later. So I'm taking Styles. I love the pick.
Yeah, I made the same pick last time. It's becoming almost consensus. If he's there, he'll be the pick. I compared it in my last draft. Caleb Downs has got a lot of love for the Giants, but I don't think he's actually that much of a comp to the skill set of Kyle Hamilton. I think Sonny Styles actually is, as a converted safety, somebody who is much more athletic, can play all around the field like Hamilton did for Harbaugh. I think he's a little bit more of a comp to the Kyle Hamilton mold, so I love that pick. And now the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, Cleveland.
Right. They stole what would have been the Giants' offensive coordinator in Todd Monken.
That's right.
Because nobody in the league thought Todd Monken was going to be getting a job.
That one shocked me. That one shocked me too. Yeah.
And you end up losing Jim Schwartz because you didn't give him the job. So your defense is going to take a massive step back now.
Ooh, just what the Browns need, right?
As much as I would love to take a skill position, and Carnell Tate is very tempting, I just think you've got to rebuild your trenches before you start addressing talent on the outside. And I am going to go with Francis Maui-Noah. I think that he can be a guard. He can be a tackle. I think he's one of those guys where he'll be a good tackle or an excellent guard because of his power and just his mauling sensibilities. I think that I'm pretty sure they brought in Howard from the Texans to play right tackle. So Maui-Noah would be playing left tackle most likely. I'm personally not afraid of trying him there. I think Howard, they extended him when they traded for him, so it's not out of the question they might envision him on the left side. So I think you bring in a guy who can play anywhere you need him to play and is going to shore up the run game for Quinshon Judkins, who they brought in last year. So Francis Maui-Noah, first offensive lineman off the board.
He would be my first offensive lineman off the board, too. I just love his versatility. You talked about it. Can play guard, can play tackle, put him anywhere you want. Browns need it. Browns need help on their line for sure. They need to keep whoever their quarterback's going to be upright. Definitely a really good pick. I do not hate that one at all. I think this is the perfect range for where we're going to start to see tackles go. I think we could see one go as early as 3 with the Cardinals. I think that's a little rich for me. This is the perfect little area for it right here. So love that pick for Cleveland, and we'll see what they do later on here in the first round. Right. Washington Commanders are on the clock here at 7. Man, this is kind of interesting. I'm kind of looking at a player right now I maybe didn't expect to be there. Ooh, this could be really fun. Washington, they put all their chips in and to really try and go win a championship, and it's kind of backfired a little bit on them, and this is why they find themselves in the position that they are now. But they could really take advantage of that. You know what I'm going to do? I just decided this on my own. You have Jaden Daniels, fantastic rookie year, obviously gets hurt last year, didn't have the same year as his rookie year. Let's take some pressure off of Daniels, and let's bring in the dynamic, the explosive Jeremiah Love. Let's bring him to Washington, shall we? What do we think about that, Ryan? What's the reaction? What are we thinking? Oh, I don't know.
I love the pick. I think they're
Yeah,
sprinting that card in.
they are.
They are thrilled he's there. I think that, as I said in my last mock, even if the Cardinals don't take him 3, I think somebody might jump Tennessee for the chance to take him.
Yeah,
I would not be surprised. Or I think the Giants could also look to move back because Harbaugh has a history of moving back, and we traded our 3rd-round pick for Jackson Dart. So we're a little short
right.
this year. Maybe the Giants move back for somebody to go get Love. I
Mhm.
think they're thrilled he's here though, and they're, like you said, giving Jaden Daniels a not Jaden Daniels, was that's
Yeah,
the Commanders.
quarterback,
Yeah,
right? Yep.
right. Give him a running mate in that backfield. I think that'll be great for him, and I think people are going to be low on them coming into the year based on the way they kind of regressed to the mean, but I expect them to have a bounce back season because a lot of the pieces that were there for the success are
Yeah,
still there.
right.
So I think it's going to be a bounce back year for the Commanders.
Mhm.
And with Jeremiah Love, whoo,
It's dangerous. And even, I was looking at Tate too. Like, I think they had two really, really solid offensive options there to choose between, but I love me some Love. So I went that direction for them.
and speaking of Carnell Tate, I'm going to keep the Saints pick easy. I think they are as excited as
Yep.
the Commanders were
Mhm.
that Love fell. Carnell Tate to the Saints. And you're
Yeah.
pairing him up with another Ohio State wide receiver
Love
in
that.
Chris Olave, wide receiver you, it seems like. This is another guy who his window for when he can go, I think it starts at the Titans. I haven't heard a lot of buzz for him there,
Hmm.
but I don't think any of the wide receivers in Tennessee are a true number one in the way that Carnell Tate could be. So Tyler Shuck is dancing somewhere because his life just got a little easier.
Exactly. That was going to be my next point. Shuck had a solid rookie year last year. You give him another true number one target and Cardell Tate, and he doesn't even have to be the number one because you got Chris Olave. So could be a very similar like Bengals situation with Chase and Higgins, 1A, 1B type thing. Love that if that falls this way for the Saints here. I agree. I would be running up to the podium to submit Tate there. That's a that's a scary wide receiver room. Adding Tate to, and it's full of Buckeyes. So that's a fun pick there for the Saints if that ends up going the way it does. And now we're here with the Kansas City Chiefs. Very, very, very strange to see them in the top 10, right? And
Yeah.
obviously we know what happened last year with Mahomes going down, but this is a really a good opportunity because they're still in contending mode, right? When you still have Mahomes, I know he's not coming back right away. You brought in Justin Fields, so they still are going to want to try to get something really, really strong here, not just for this year, but the foreseeable future as well. I think this one, man, I really hate to pass on this player, but I'm one of the player. I'm not going to go into that direction. I'm gonna take Caleb Lomu, the tackle out of Utah here. I believe they did just move on from, was it Taylor? I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, Jawan.
Yeah. So bringing a young guy, to develop, work with that offense for the foreseeable future here. I think again, this is kind of the range where we're going to start to see some of these tackles go here. So take advantage of it. Get yourself a young offensive lineman while you're in the top 10 to build for not just this year, but for the future.
Yeah, I love that pick. I think there's a lot of temptation on the board to go with a weapon, Mansour Delane, because they lost a lot of talent at corner, but
Yep.
Mahomes got hurt last year, and the lesson has to be keeping him upright. Because anytime they've been beaten, when Tampa Bay destroyed them in the Super Bowl, it was because Mahomes was on the back foot the entire game. So protecting Mahomes is the name of the game, and that's a great pick. I think Lomu is a guy that'll be able to play either tackle spot. You're pairing him up with Simmons, I think they took last year.
Josh Simmons.
Yeah,
Yep.
so young tackles it's a good thing to do because tackles are not getting cheaper.
Yep.
And now for the Bengals, I think they are thrilled that Caleb Downs is still on the board. I think Caleb Downs is
Easy
going
pick.
to He is good, man. I said he wasn't the Caleb Downs type, and that might be true, but he might be like a Derwin James. He might be something different.
Yep.
I really like Caleb Downs. I think they're getting a great player all the way down at 10. He's arguably a top 3 guy in this draft. So the Bengals, another team who prefers to be at the later end of the draft, getting a guy like Caleb Downs might help them do that.
Oh, yeah, the Bengals are screaming for joy. They're happy here. Caleb Downs is actually my second ranked player in the draft. I think he's that good. It's just the position that he plays that makes it really tough to justify taking a safety high. But when you have a blue chip prospect like Caleb Downs, the tape speaks for itself. Instinctive player, smart player. Like, I've watched a lot of interviews with this guy. Dude knows ball, and he's very, very good at it. So Bengals need so much help all across their defense. And so this is a great way to start getting that going in the right direction with Caleb Downs. That's an excellent pick there for the Bengals. And now we're here with another division opponent of ours, that being the Patriots, and the Miami Dolphins here, who blew things up a lot recently, to say the least. That's pretty fair. And right now, poor Malik Willis really doesn't have anyone to throw the ball to. Now, do I want to go in that direction? Do I want to give them a skill player here? I'm going to think about it, but I'm also thinking about it from my team. I just want to make them worse? No, I'm kidding. We're not going to do that. We're going to do what they actually should do here in this. Man, I'm looking at 2 guys here for them. I'm looking at 2 guys.
Who are you thinking about?
I'm looking at the corner position. I think they definitely need help in their secondary for sure. I believe they just that Minka used to play for the Dolphins. Just came from the Steelers, right? Traded to the Jets, right? Am I thinking? I believe right?
So. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they need help in their secondary. It was a random trade, very bad. And Minka didn't look happy to be there at all. Anyway, so I'm looking at corner for them. They have their choice at whoever the top corner is on their board here, or I'm also looking at who I think personally is my wide receiver 1 in this draft. And I think that's the direction I'm going to go. And it pains me because he'll be in the division in this scenario. I'm going to give them Makai Lemon, the wide receiver out of USC. Just run after catch. Just got to give Malik Willis something to work with. And whether or not Malik Willis is your plan for the foreseeable future, you just got to bring them in. I think you just got to bring in you blew up your wide receiver room, start fresh, bring someone in, take advantage of one of your first round picks. I know you have one later. Maybe there'll be a corner or somebody in the secondary for you later on there. I'm taking the best receiver on my board here in Makai Lemon, shifty, run after catch, had a great year at USC. So that'd be really, really fun to watch in Miami.
And I think the Cowboys are thrilled that you went that way. I like Makai Lemon a lot, by the way. Top 3 guys in the wide receiver class are all really close in talent. I like the big playability of Makai. But for the Dallas Cowboys, they are thrilled Mansour Delane is still on the board. He just ran a 4.38, so I think it's possible he is a top 10 pick. I think maybe yesterday he did. I saw that. So
today he ran a 4.38? That's great.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's
for
insane.
His talent to also be that fast. Dallas needs a lot of help on the secondary. I know they could use an upgrade at right tackle, but I just think that defense needs a lot of help. So getting a guy like Mansour Delane is an easy pick for them, I think.
I love that. I love that pick. Again, it was between those 2 guys for me. But like you said, Cowboys are thrilled there. Delane had a great year. There might even be another guy we could talk about. I mean, I think it's 1A, 1B with these 2 corners that are up on the top of the board here. But the Cowboys are thrilled with that pick. Things are kind of working so far for the team. There's been some tough picks here and there, but so far things are kind of going expected, maybe, or maybe not. Y'all can let us know in the comments.
Look at that. He knows how to plug for engagement. I love it.
I got you. You're my guy. All right. The Rams are here at 13. It's my pick, right? Yeah, it is.
Yes.
I got it. So here at the Rams at 13. Now, this is an interesting spot for them because I think they are one of the two teams that's in on AJ Brown. And I do think, I think I'm hoping we get him, but we'll get there later. But because I don't think the Rams will be in that direction, and because Devontae Adams is getting up there in age, and while I know you still have Stafford, let's give Puka a weapon, and let's give them a receiver that is not like anyone in their room once Adams does leave. Let's bring in Jordan Tyson. I've seen him all over the place. I think his stock has kind of fallen a little bit. And I think it's because he didn't work out at the combine, right? And I think maybe there's an injury to maybe or something that he's dealing with. But I love his tape. At one point, he was like the top receiver at one point to like even be considered. So I'm just going with the tape here. I think the Rams still have a lot of talent, and like if Tyson doesn't work out, there's still some time to work. But bring him into a room with Adams and Nakua. I like the sound of that.
Great pick. I think that in like 3 years, we're going to be laughing that he fell in the draft over injury concerns,
right?
Because he's going to work out. I think this is the perfect place for him to go because Sean McVay will utilize him correctly. So I love that pick. Now for Baltimore, the team that my head coach left behind, I think, oh boy, I'm going to go with a player who I really love. I think that guard, every year it gets talked about that guard is not as high of a position of value, but then they get paid like crazy.
It's true.
So I'm going to give him the guy that I think has a Zach Martin-like upside, and that's Vega Ioane, the guard from Penn State. Just the biggest, most nasty guy in the draft. And when I think of the Ravens, I think of big and nasty. So I would bring him in to shore up that offensive line with King Henry and Lamar running behind him.
Love it. I love that pick. One of the safest prospects in this draft, for sure, is Vega Ioane. And the Ravens definitely need help on that line and continuing to protect Lamar because they, too, are in one of these situations now where they're in win now mode. And new head coach, I think it's a very smart, it's a very safe sense there. And Ione is worth it. I wouldn't be surprised if he went earlier than this too. I think he's definitely worth a high pick here in the first round. Up next we have the Tampa. Up next we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here. And I believe Mr. Levante David just retired today, if I saw that correctly. I desperately think that they need an edge rusher. I think they need a lot of help there on that line. I know Mike Evans just left, and they probably would have loved to have like a Jordan Tyson here. But because that scenario is not available to them here, we're going to go with Keldrick Falk out of Auburn here, bringing in another young guy there to bring into this offense. I love, oh my gosh, his name is slipping my mind, their head coach, Todd, right? No, is that his name? Bowles. You know, I think defensive-minded guy, you know, take advantage of being up here, and this edge class is deep. There's a lot of really good, talented guys. I think we have hit to that point where we've hit a drop from the edge, but I love Kedrick Falk here. You know, I really think they need to bring some depth, help out Vita Vea, help out that line a little bit, get younger too. So we're going to bring in Falk here from Auburn.
It's a great pick. He's one of the younger guys in the class, I believe. He's big, he's strong, a lot of bend, but doesn't give up effort in terms of the way he also gets after the run. So I think he's a high floor kind of player with a lot of upside to grow into. Then, the New York Jets.
Yes.
I'm going to maybe surprise a player that I think I keep hearing is climbing up boards. I think that they also have an Ohio State receiver who could use some help. And they're going to get it in the form of Omar Cooper Jr. I think I keep hearing that he is more valued by the NFL than the scouting world. I think that he's got big playability after the catch. And I think that the Jets, they need more weapons. It can't just be Garrett Wilson out there. So bring in Omar Cooper Jr. I see a little Odell in him in terms of his play style and what I've seen. I think that he'll be another guy where it's like, why weren't we talking about him like a top 10 pick? Because I think he could have an Emeka Ibuka kind of quick impact. So I've got a lot of hope for Cooper. So what do you think?
Oh, I have a lot of hope for Cooper too, but I hope he fails because now he's with the Jets. I would not sleep well if this was the case for the Jets. If they're walking out with Arvell Reese and Omar Cooper, gosh, I love me some Omar Cooper. I would love him to fall to the Patriots in the first round. Don't think it's going to happen because, like you said, his stock has been rising. I love his tape so much. Like he just had such a phenomenal year. Another guy who's great after the catch. Seems one of like the more, I think he's young, but like he seems mature for his age. One of those guys. I've watched a lot of his interviews too, and he just seems like a good locker room guy that knows ball. And again, the Jets have plenty of time in the world, and Garrett Wilson has been complaining for quite some time. He needs a running mate. I don't know if AD Mitchell will be that. So bringing a Omar Cooper, I love it. I hate it. You know what? I think people know where I'm getting at.
Absolutely.
With this pick.
Absolutely.
But I love it. Yeah, I love it. Great pick here for the Jets. Cool.
All right, Cody. So you are up with the Detroit Lions at pick 17, my friend.
Woo. Alrighty, here we go. So this one I had to think about for a little bit. I'm between two players here. Both play the same position, ironically here. They did just lose a tackle, and I do think that they need to beef that. They need to add somebody to that because Detroit has a pretty solid team as to where they're at right now, and they definitely don't want to lose any progress that they've made here. So you already have Penei Sewell at right tackle, and I think there's been talks about moving him to left tackle, where he originally played coming out of college. In my opinion, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. He's had so many Pro Bowls. So let's keep Penei at right. And we're going to draft a true left tackle in Monroe Freeling here out of Georgia, which pains me here. I would love Monroe to be a Patriot. It's kind of one of those guys. We all have like our favorites in the draft. This is one of my favorites. Just love the way he plays. He had a really good combine, and I'm like, no, don't fall. I don't think he's going to fall. So he's got a great guy in the room with Penei Sewell to learn from. I think Dan Campbell's going to love him. And he's got a really good quarterback that he's going to have to block for. But a nice young guy to develop. I'm going to go with Freeling.
Yeah, I love that pick. There's been a lot of buzz that his window starts at pick 6 with Cleveland.
Yeah.
That's a rich value, but this is kind of being labeled as a weaker draft class where there might not be as many highly rated guys. So I think that just means there's going to be a lot more variance in the way guys are valued. So things might get turned on its head on draft day based on the way mocks have been going, just based on teams going with guys that they think are going under the radar. And Freeling, I think this is a better range. 6 is rich, like I said, but going into Detroit, the fact, like you said, left tackle, you don't have to move anybody. I'm the same way. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yep.
I love the pick. With the Minnesota Vikings now.
Mm-hmm.
What a weird team, huh?
That's a good way to describe them. Very odd. Love their head coach, though. Love their head coach. But yeah, odd team.
I think I agree with the love for Kevin O'Connell. I was kind of hoping that he might end up available this offseason, but we ended up doing all right, I think. So that worked out nicely.
You guys did great.
For the Minnesota Vikings, I'm definitely looking at safeties. Harrison Smith is I'm shocked he's still in the league. Good for him for still being a good player. I think Dylan Thieneman and Emmanuel McNeil-Warren are options. However, it's listing center as a need. And there's a guy on the board who can play every offensive line position available, and that is incredibly rare.
Sure is.
Especially for center. That's usually the blind spot where, yeah, I could play guard or tackle, but I've never snapped in my life.
Mm.
And this guy looked good when he was running center drills. They had him doing center drills at the combine. So I am going to go with another offensive lineman who I think has the potential to go a lot higher than this. I am going to go with Spencer Fano.
Mm-hmm.
When I heard that he had the flexibility to go inside and play center and that teams were actually scouting him there, I think that he could start there day one if you need to, but the versatility that he can play every spot on the line, I think just has such value. So I like that pick there, and I think he's another guy with the potential to go as high as 6 when Cleveland's on the board. So the tackles are starting to come off the board, it seems.
A rare specimen, all 5 positions. That's who I was choosing between there for the Lions, Freeling or Fano. I think I love the versatility there, and if it doesn't work out at center, you have plenty of other options to choose from there. So that versatility alone is going to make Fano a really, really highly coveted prospect here. So I think that's a really good fit there in Minnesota for Fano. Now we are sitting with the Carolina Panthers at 19, who made the playoffs last year. Congrats to them. Just really, really, really good year for them. So looking at what's available to them here, I know you were taking a look at those safeties there for the Vikings. There, I think I might be eyeing some safeties here for the Panthers as well to continue working on that defense as a whole for them. And Dylan Thieneman continues to rise up draft boards. I've seen him and Emmanuel, the other one that you mentioned. I don't remember his name. You just said
Emmanuel McNeil-Warren.
Thank you. That's another name that I've seen creeping into the first round here as well. Have not watched too much tape on him, to be honest with you. So I have watched a lot of tape on Dylan Thieneman, though. So that's the direction I'm going to go here. The safety out of Oregon for the Panthers. Continue to just bring in young talent. I mean, their first round pick last year, Tedoroa had a phenomenal year. Yes, maybe would you want to bring in some offensive to see if Bryce Young's your guy? I could see that direction they're going in. They could go in as well here, but I think when you have a safe, I think this is a safe pick, but it's a right pick here for Carolina, going with Dylan.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think he has a lot of versatility. He's a good center fielder, patrolling the back end of the defense, has the versatility to play strong safety if you want him in the box, but I feel like his athleticism and his natural ability to get to the ball lends itself to playing center field a little bit at that free safety spot. So now we are looking at the Dallas Cowboys. I get to double dip for Dallas.
I was just going to say what a position they found themselves in.
And they were thrilled to walk away with Mansour Delane up at the top. I'll tell you what, I'm not going to do it, but imagine the stones on them if they took Jermod McCoy. And then
I'll do it if I was you right here, but I get it.
I am so close to doing it, but
I don't blame you. Could this be a scenario though? Let's ask that first. I don't know, but
they need so much help on the back end that I think and knowing Jerry Jones, if he likes a guy, he's gonna take him. He's not gonna let the scouts telling him. True. Because McCoy, you could argue his 2024 tape is on par, if not better, than Delane's 2025 tape.
Yeah.
His 2024 was excellent.
It was.
You know what?
You
Screw
talked
it.
you talked yourself into it.
I talked myself into it. I got the gift of gab. I'm going Jermod McCoy.
Wow.
I think that
Hey, if one doesn't work out, you
right. What are the odds they would both not work out?
know,
And I just really feel like the other guy I was looking at was Akeem Messidor
Mhm.
because I know that they got rid of Micah. They brought in Rashawn Gary, but I don't know what he is at this moment in his career.
Yeah.
I just think McCoy, that's a guy who healthy could have been a top 5 pick. And I think that Jerry, he'll do the thing that other people might not. And it seems like that is my role in these mocks that I'm doing. I do the outlandish picks. So I'm going to stick to that as my brand and double down and say, Jerry doesn't want to pay a corner for the next 5 years, and now he doesn't have to.
Nope, he does not, because he could have 1A and 1B here when it comes to the corner position. Definitely did not see this scenario happening at all because, as you said, McCoy's tape in 24 was fantastic, and Mansour's was phenomenal last year. Arguably, McCoy's was better in 24. So to be able to get both of them, that's, I don't know how much you see that in mock drafts, folks, but you see it here on the Goose channel. I'll tell you that.
Damn right.
So that's fun. That would be crazy if that were to happen. I don't think it will, but hey, that's why you do mocks, right? For the fun of it.
Right.
Oh, Pittsburgh. I hate the Steelers. Sorry.
Hey, me and you both, my friend. Me and you both.
Yeah, the Pittsburgh Steelers are on the clock here at 21. Man, I'm on the Goose's channel, man. I have to do something wild. I haven't done anything wild yet. I think this might be the spot where I do something wild. Right? Just saying. Well, let me just say who I'm choosing between here. The one person I am choosing between is Emmanuel Pregnan out of Oregon, the guard. I've seen him rising up boards. I think he could end up being a first round pick for sure by the end of it all here. But in your last mock draft, there was not a second quarterback taken off the board. And I want to have that scenario happen here. So, ladies and gentlemen, Ty Simpson is going to the Pittsburgh Steelers here. I agree with you, as you said in your last mock. I think Aaron Rodgers will be back. But it's pretty good to learn from Aaron Rodgers for a year, however long it's going to be. Do I think Ty Simpson is a first-round talent? No. Let me just say that first and foremost. I've watched a lot of this tape. There are things I like. There's things that need to be improved on, for sure. But the things that I like stick out. And I think there are a lot more things that I like than I don't like. So, Pittsburgh, new head coach, bring him in. Don't like the head coach as well. That's another topic. Anyway, so bring him in. You don't have to play him right away. If Aaron Rodgers were to get hurt, he'll get his opportunity there. I just think the Pittsburgh has tried so many. Kenny Pickett didn't work out, and now we're here again going with the first-round quarterback. I just wanted to throw a little curveball. So here's my curveball to the mock draft.
I love the pick. I think that I don't like the idea that because Kenny Pickett didn't work, they won't. It's kind of two separate.
Yeah.
It's so radically different in terms of circumstance that I don't think that kind of hangs over them. I really like Simpson. I think that I agree that I wouldn't have him as a first-round quarterback in a normal mock draft or in a normal class, I should say. But right now, I think that if Rodgers is back, it's 1 year at the most likely. And I still would not be shocked if he isn't back, because just when you think you know what Aaron Rodgers is going to do, he shows up on Joe Rogan and throws everything on its side. So I agree with the Ty Simpson pick. I think he comes from a good school where he had a lot of competition, so he's not going to be, I don't think he's going to come into the league scared. I think he's ready for the opportunity, and throwing to a guy like DK Metcalf certainly makes your life a little easier. So I like the pick a lot.
Yep.
And now the Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah.
I am going to go with a player that is one of my favorite players in the draft. I don't remember if I think I might have taken him here. No, I was I lost my. We're doing it live.
It happens. It happens.
I am going with a guy who, if the Giants were picking later, I'd be thrilled with him. A guy that I think is another one of those players where in a few years we're going to go, hey, why did he fall? Why did we think he wasn't going to be? I'm going Peter Woods.
Yeah.
I think that Jim Harbaugh, he's going to like a big, nasty guy like Woods. I like them building the interior of the lines. And I just love Woods as a value here. I think he's got a lot of upside. He reminds me of a Dexter Lawrence that the Giants have. I think he's got pass rush upside, but he's got a high floor because of his ability to stop the run as well. I think he could have some scheme versatility. He could be a nose tackle. He could be an outside guy on a 3-4 or an inside guy on a 4-3. I like his skill set. I really like the player, and at pick 22, I think he's best available. So Peter Woods going to Los Angeles.
Don't sleep on those Clemson players, guys. There's a lot of good ones here in this range in the draft, and Peter Woods definitely is one of those guys. Just I'm imagining Jim Harbaugh's Michigan days and how much he loved to use his defensive linemen and how much he would just like ramp them. Like he loves his defensive tackles. So I think that Peter Woods screams Jim Harbaugh through and through. And you know, they got some older guys on that line, you know. Oh my gosh, the edge rusher there. You know who I'm talking about.
Mack.
Former Raider. Thank you. You know, so just get younger, and you know, keep building there. So I love that pick for the Chargers. That would be a really good move there for them. Now we're at the Eagles. You love the Eagles. I know you do. We might be doing business with them soon. So I could. The Steelers and the Eagles are from just my two least favorite teams. Anyway, but I'm gonna help them out here. I'm gonna make them better, in my mind here. So with the Eagles, I think they're a win now mode kind of team. You know, they have so much talent on their roster. Do I think that AJ Brown will be off of their roster before the draft? Yes, but I am going to draft as if they have the team they have assembled right now. So I think because they're in win now mode, I think they can take advantage of an opportunity here to take a guy that may not be a rookie's age that enters the NFL draft normally. They're going to take an older rookie here and basically try and utilize all of the time that they can with him when he's in his prime, pretty much at the age that he's at. We're going to take Akeem Mesidor here, the edge rusher out of Miami. I think they just Howie Roseman loves to draft key positions, edge rusher being one of those. So that defense has a lot of young talent already. Let's add some more young talent and bring in Mesidor to the mix.
Yeah, that's a great pick. I think Mesidor, I'll be surprised if he's another one of those guys, I think, where he'll end up going in the teens to somebody, maybe the Bucks. I think his age, he's going to come into the league playing at a higher level than a lot of the other guys just due to his age and everything. Yeah. And he's got a lot of dogs he'll be joining that defense with. And I just feel like getting in a room with all of those, like there's big personalities in Philly. And I like the idea of them adding a scrappy pass rusher to the big mean guys they got on that line.
Yeah. Fit in right away.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now for Cleveland, I went with Francis Mauigoa at pick 6. We're going at pick 24 now. As much as I love Kenyon Sadiq, if they didn't have Harold Fannin Jr., I would go with him, but they have a young tight end.
Great year last year. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes it easier for them to lose a guy like
Njoku.
David Njoku. Yeah.
Yep.
But this is a hard pick because what don't they need, frankly?
You can't go wrong here.
Right. It's like part of me wants to readdress the offensive line.
Yeah.
But I know they've brought in a lot of veterans.
True.
Because I know they brought in they paid Zion Johnson, I think they paid a lot at guard. They paid a center, Elton Jenkins.
Yeah.
What a team. I am gonna go with who are the wide receivers right now. I know the biggest name on the board is Casey Concepcion.
Mm-hmm.
He's got some drop issues that make me a little nervous.
Me too. I'm with you.
With a name like Concepcion, the recepcion is not guaranteed.
That was good. You rehearsed that one. No, I'm kidding.
I am going to go with another guy I think will end up going in the first round, even though his value isn't mocked as high on this big board I'm looking at. I'm going to go with Denzel Boston from Washington.
Okay. Yeah.
I like his body control. I like his route running. I think that he's a little bit more of the true outside guy. And then you have Jerry Jeudy, who I think plays better if he's a guy that you can move around a formation in the slot, in line, outside. So having Boston as a guy with good body control on the outside for whoever is playing quarterback, I think just diversifies the skill set in the receiver room in a nice way.
Yeah, it's a good pick. And to be honest with you, Washington receivers scare me after the Patriots taking Jalen Polk and not working out. So I try to avoid the Washington receivers. But no, Boston is fantastic. Reminds me a lot of Odunze, which makes a lot of sense because he came from Washington. So the way that the Bears utilize Odunze, I think, Jeudy, in my mind, not a 1. Boston has the potential to become a 1 and definitely has a really this could I think he's going to be a day 2, but he could sneak into that first round here. So Cleveland needs receivers, so I think it's a great pick here for Cleveland taking a chance on a guy like Boston here in the first round. And they're walking out with their 2 biggest needs being tackle and wide receiver in the first round. So love that here for them. Next, we have the Chicago Bears. Man, I am just this fit just makes too much sense to me. I'm gonna give Chicago a run stuffer, and he does it at a high level. I've been seeing this guy falling out of the first round. I don't get it. I just think he does what he does well at an elite level, and we're taking Caden McDonald here from Ohio State. Just mauler, and I think Ben Johnson, he's got a tough edge to him. I love what Johnson did last year, and yes, there's a lot of talk about that offense, but let's not forget about that defense too. Let's bring in a run stopper here. They're in that division. You're dealing with a Josh Jacobs, a lot of really good running backs. So let's try to stop that run with a guy like Cade McDonald.
Yeah, I love the pick. I think that he's a guy. The skill set is underappreciated. It's not flashy necessarily.
Yeah.
But he reminds me of almost like a Snacks Harrison from back in the day. He might not be a 10-sack guy, but if you look at his tackles for loss, his pressures, he's going to be a guy that affects a game. And in Chicago, you need the monsters of the Midway. It's going to be late in the season when the weather's bad. Teams are going to be running the ball. You got to be tough up the middle if you're going to win in Chicago. So I like that pick a lot.
Yep.
And now the Buffalo Bills, the team that overpaid for DJ Moore. That trade,
Just
I like
a little
DJ
bit.
Moore.
Just a little bit.
Right. It was when I heard about the trade, I thought, oh, that's a good fit. And then you hear it was a second rounder. And man, that scared me for what it meant for the wide receiver market.
And we're in the wide receiver market, so I get it. I definitely get it. Well, there goes AJ Brown's value up, just going up.
Exactly. It's that was surprising, but I do think it'll be another one of those things where nobody's going to care if he's catching important balls in the postseason from Josh Allen. So,
yeah.
This is an interesting spot.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. It's the Bills. From this point on, you're in the contenders.
Yep.
These are the teams who you're going to want to fill the last final holes on your roster as you're hoping to solidify championship runs. Oh, boy. So I think I am going to go with somebody. I like watching the guys over at the NFL Stock Exchange, Connor Rogers and Trevor Sikkema.
Mm-hmm. I've heard of them.
And Trevor Sikkema, I believe he's primarily on PFF. I hear him talk about this guy a lot. I am going to give them a linebacker, and I am going to give them Jacob Rodriguez. I think that the more I've listened to Sikkema talk about Jacob Rodriguez, the more I like the idea of him going in the first round. I think that he's a guy that's just all over the field, sideline to sideline kind of range. And in a defense like Buffalo, I think that having somebody in the middle of the field is going to be valuable. And Rodriguez, I just think I keep hearing him moving up the board. So I'm going to find him a home in Buffalo. What do you think about Rodriguez? Have you had a lot of time to look at him?
A bit. And it's because I've seen him rise up on draft boards. Playmaker is just all that comes to mind when I think of him. I don't, like you said, we're kind of in that position now where we're teams here towards the end of the draft are just looking for like those final finishing touches. So the Bills being in contending, who maybe not a lot of people are seeing as like a first round kind of value, could end up, we all be laughing at the end of it, like, wow, why didn't we take Jacob Rodriguez? So it kind of feels like a final finishing touch on a team that doesn't have as much needs as other teams in the beginning of the draft here. So I just think playmaker when I think Rodriguez, and certainly the Bills defense needs a lot of help. So I could see that being a good direction to go here for them.
What are you thinking for San Francisco, my friend?
Oh, I'm thinking a lot of things here, and I'm thinking about our wonderful tackle in Trent Williams and how he's turning into a dinosaur. And so, so I think, while they have maybe already some pieces in line there, I think it's time to start thinking about, okay, what can we do to start thinking about after Trent Williams? You know what I mean? And I see a guy here on the board that I like, has a little bit of position flexibility, can play tackle, can play guard. I think it's one of the more safer tackle prospects in the class. I'm going to take Caden Proctor from Alabama. If it doesn't work out at tackle, you can shift him when needed. But you really got to think about life after Trent, as if you know what I mean. Like, when he retires is what I'm saying. I would look at receiver here, but I know they did just bring in Mike Evans, so we're gonna take Proctor here.
It's a great pick. I like Caden Proctor a lot. He's another one of those guys, just a big guy. He lot of power. I think that despite his size, he doesn't get beat around the edge as much as you might think. He's got a good first step, so I think he'll be a great guy to following a similar mold to Trent Williams, where Trent Williams, big guy, but still an athlete. So I think there will be a lot to be learned from from Williams to Proctor, I should say. So the Houston Texans. There's a player that just should not be left on the board right now.
Uh-oh.
Who does Houston have at tight end? I feel like they have a former Dallas tight end whose name I can't think of.
Is it Schultz?
Is that it?
Dalton? No. I'm gonna. I have to look now.
I have the internet at my fingertips. Houston Texans.
Wow. Me too. Sorry.
Dalton Schultz, yeah. I don't think that. Look at that. Look how hard we had to work to find out who that was.
Dalton Schultz.
I think that Kenyon Sadiq is a rare athlete. He has the athleticism of a wide receiver. I like him a lot, but their offensive line also could use help.
Stroud got brutal, abominated in the playoffs. Like, just, oh my gosh. Our Patriots took care of him. But yeah, the talent, I see what you're saying.
I think because of that, I love Kenyon Sadiq, but I don't think I can justify not going offensive line for this team. I am going to go with... I'm looking at Blake Miller and Emmanuel Pregnon, if I'm being honest. Blake Miller, I think ton of starting time at Clemson. I think he could play either tackle position from day one, and I feel like he has a high floor. But I just like Emmanuel Pregnon to fit. Having him rated at 50 like this board does is absurd to me.
Wild.
I think he's a low first-round guy.
Mm-hmm. I've seen a lot of his.
So I'm going to make him that.
Yep.
Emmanuel Pregnon, help up the middle, protect C.J. Stroud. There was some murmurs of the idea of Stroud being traded, but you don't trade a guy who has done what he has done in that city. So I think you protect him instead.
Yeah, that's the right move, I think. I mean, I talked about Pregnon earlier. You know, I think he's a first-round talent. I think this mock draft has him rated way too low, like in terms of rankings for players. So could easily seeing being a perfect fit here for Houston. Helping out that middle of their offensive line, which is where they need to focus. I agree with you there. Kansas City's really, really happy right now with who's left on the board. As we know, Trent McDuffie's no longer there, and all the Rams are now have all their corners pretty much. So I think this one's pretty simple. As much as fun it is to think about having Kenyon Sadiq learn from Travis Kelce, that's kind of fun to think about. I'm going to pick here. I think the right pick in my mind. I'm going to take Avion Terrell from Clemson, going to Kansas City here. It's a position of need. It's good value, and he comes in and he's going to be asked of a lot because he's kind of really it right now in the Chiefs corner room. But he's going to have an opportunity to play, and he has a really, really talented brother in the NFL as well. So these Clemson guys in the first round, don't sleep on them, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Avion Terrell's another guy with the ability to go much higher than this. I think worst case scenario, he's a great nickel corner, but I think he does have the ball skills to potentially work on the outside as well. So the Miami Dolphins, who you had given Mekhi Lemon earlier in the draft.
Yep.
And I like that pick a lot. Makes it so they don't have to reach on wide receiver here if they hadn't taken that. I think this roster there's no wrong pick in terms of roster need. I'm tempted by offensive line just because when you're rebuilding, it's always smart to help your trenches first, I think. But their corner room could really use some help. I am going to go with Colton Hood.
Nice. Yep.
I think, let me just, yeah, he's the guy I'm thinking of, 6 foot, Colton Hood. I think he's going to end up being a first rounder. He's very athletic. He's got ball skills. I think he's another guy with versatility inside out. And Cisse, I think, yeah, Cisse, I think Cisse profiles more as a nickel. So I like the versatility of Colton Hood. And I think that them coming away with a corner and a wide receiver is a good first round for Miami, I think.
I agree. It's a big position of need for them. Hood will be a first round pick. I'm pretty confident when I say that. Another guy with flexibility, as you said, inside and nickel outside as well. It was Terrell or Hood. I couldn't go wrong. I was going to be happy with either one there. So I love that he made it into the first round. That's awesome. And we've
You
made
get
it,
to
ladies and
pick for
gentlemen.
your own team.
The best pick in the draft right here, guys. This is actually a really, really tough because I have two guys on the board here that I would love. Now, do I think Kenyon Sadiq is going to fall to 31? No,
This is
I don't think
crazy.
so. But in my dreams, I would absolutely love that. So do I want to be like realistic and not take Sadiq because I don't think you know what I mean? It's a tough
Yeah,
position for me to be in here, and I would just love to see Drake May thrown to Sadiq. That just sounds like music in my ears. And I'm also looking at Blake Miller as well
yeah.
here. Morgan Moses, not getting any younger. He's going to be out of the league here soon. Can learn from him for a year and could even play this year, I think. So to have Will Campbell and Blake Miller for the future sounds pretty exciting for me here. So it's a realistic pick or a dream pick for me. I'm not taking Concepcion because of the drops. That's an issue for me. I agree with you there. We're just gonna have fun. Like Sadiq's going. I'm taking Kenyon Sadiq. Like it's he's gonna be in the first round. But realistically, if Sadiq was not there, and I don't think he would be, I'm taking Blake Miller in this scenario.
Yeah, I think that they have the luxury of if anybody falls in our lap, we're going to take them. And I think
Yeah.
that with Hunter Henry having the ability to play traditional tight end in the way that he does, having
Yep.
a guy like Kenyon Sadiq where you can move him all over the formation, kind of like they had Jonnu Smith for a moment, didn't they?
We sure did, and yep, we sure did.
So I think that's a great pick. I think the athleticism, you can put him in so many different spots. Great pick. Now, for the final pick, the Seattle Seahawks. Unfortunately, there is no running back. I don't think Jadarian Price is worthy of a number one pick. Interior offensive line. I know we still have the guard, Basantis. I am going to go with Chase Basantis. Yeah, I'm going to go with an interior offensive lineman. I think that is the best way for Seattle to go. And that is it. We wrapped this up in a perfect amount of time because this Zoom meeting's about to kick us out.
We nailed it. We nailed it.
Thank you so much for coming on, my friend. You will I hope you would enjoy coming back because I would love to have you back.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for having me. Would love to come back. Love you to death. This is a blast. Thanks for having me.
Of course. The Goose and Cody are out. I
had to do it just once.